I want you to start by telling us, how did you think about starting Marketing Africa? What was the inspiration behind it? And what is Marketing Africa all about as a company?
When I was at the university, we had a publication. It was called the Marketing Review. And we were able to publish that magazine and get 18 full-page adverts at that time, which was a first. I've never seen it up to today.
I want you to start by telling us, how did you think about starting Marketing Africa? What was the inspiration behind it? And what is Marketing Africa all about as a company?
When I was at the university, we had a publication. It was called the Marketing Review. And we were able to publish that magazine and get 18 full-page adverts at that time, which was a first. I've never seen it up to today.
Hello, welcome to the Creative Industry Talk. This is House of Talent Television and my name is Eddie Okila. Welcome to the program. My guest this morning is a man who has been here, is the man who is a senior man in the industry, in the creative industry, is a legend by his own standing and by his own rights. The man who has been doing it. Jeremy Biemanzi is joining me again this morning, together with Richard Tuwanje, who is going to be joining us on the show to discuss the one very important part of this creative industry talk. And we're talking about how to foster creativity within our organization for business success. How do we foster it? We talked about it last week, and Jeremy is joining me again to have this discussion. Jeremy, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
How are you doing? No, you have to spread love. Yes, you have to spread love.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me once again.
You're super welcome. First of all, to start with Jeremy, how was your week?
Oh, I had a great week. Lots of work, very busy. Birthday week, so I had lots of love from my family and friends, so I had a good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the program. Talking about the show last week, we got a lot of people who, you know...
Chief Executive Officer, which I did from the year
My name is Martin Anthony Nsuvuga. I'm the CEO of Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. And I've served the institution until now, where I've grown to the position of the Chief Executive Officer. So I've seen UBRA since its establishment.
I was also the person who started the organization as interim CEO for the organization. My role was to set up the organization, and here we are.
It has been a really new experience in my life. As you may have heard, UBRA was non-existent. There was no formal regulatory environment for pensions or retirement benefits. So we are a pioneer. We were appointed to set up the architecture and the environment for regulation of retirement benefits and pensions.
So the Ministry of Finance, because I was the technical person really handling all these reforms, they asked me to come and set up this institution, which is the Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. So I was requested to start as interim Chief Executive Officer, which I did from the year 2012 to early 2015. It's been a great journey. When we started from scratch.
The journey of 10 years of UBRA started with an Act of Parliament of 2011, but actual operation started in 2012, and that's why we are celebrating 10 years today.
There was no institutional setup, there were no laws, there was nothing. So we started with the legal framework, putting in place the legal framework that establishes the supervisor or the regulator for the retirement benefits sector. Before then,
UBRA came into the market about 10 years ago. The first thing they did, right from their first offices at Communications House, was to take stock of the market. Who are the players? Who are the retirement players in the market? Who are the service providers? Which schemes are operating in the market? Service to note that there was already something happening in the market, even before UBRA came to play.
And because of that, there were Ponzi schemes, there were frauds and all those kind of things. There was no trust in the sector. So our primary objective was to build a system that would instill confidence in the general public.
I believe the journey has been very successful. We have a footprint now in the community, and that footprint is best exemplified by the growth of the pensions sector. When we were appointed, the pension sector savings were less than 5 trillion. Today they're approaching 20 trillion.
A number of proposals were carried to Parliament, and the biggest one was to actually put in place a sector regulator.
My role as a Member of Parliament when I came in 2001 was to make legislation. And one of the laws we have made is the UBRA Act, which basically came in to assist how to regulate the retirement pension funds, which were missing in this country. I'm proud that now we have over 19 trillion shillings in the pension fund. That's a very good contributor to national development. And in the future, I'm sure this money we shall not go to borrow. We shall use this money of the pension fund to really develop our country.
You'd appreciate that this is not a small contribution for a sector that was not regulated. But overall, it was part of the global reforms that we are seeing in other countries in the pension sector.
To me, that's a plus for the authority.
And you can imagine in a very short time, in less than 10 years, we have over 19 trillion. It believes that within the next 5 years, we should be over 40 trillion.
To me, that is a plus for UBRA and a surety for the people of Uganda who save with these different schemes, knowing that somebody is there making sure that my money that I put in any scheme is safe, is protected.
So one of the main objectives was to safeguard the interests of the members. Now, what this means is that the moment members' interests are safeguarded, their rights are protected, it then boils down to growth of the sector. Now, what we've seen in the last 10 years is that the sector, the assets under management have more than tripled. So within a span of 10 years, we're seeing a lot of efficiency in terms of members are able to get their benefits, they're able to access more information about their schemes. More importantly is the professionalism that has been injected in the sector.
There has been a deliberate effort to build trust because the foundation is strong, it can be trusted. And again, the investment structures are very solid, so which means they encourage the growth of the market, the growth of the portfolio, and also provide the positive returns that we see to date.
The last one that is significant, which I've seen UBRA doing, is promoting transparency. So to a member, that information creates trust within the member, because you are saying there's nothing I'm hiding. This is how we run the scheme in the year. There were 13 meetings, and this member of the board, out of 13, he attended 3.
In the saving schemes, there was no trust, there was no confidence, there was a lot of risk. Even the savers could not know how much their contributions were. Okay? In other words, everything was in a disarray without any regulator.
I think as well, looking generally at the business environment, you rarely now see complaints of people stating that the funds that they thought they had in their names have disappeared or have been paid to the wrong person. And all this is just because of the supervisory role that UBRA has brought in, which has been pivotal in making us run a world-class pension sector in Uganda.
There are 3 parts to any pension system. There's the contributions or collections of pensions, there is the management of the pensions or the investment of these pension savings, and then there's the payment of these pension savings, either through a lump sum or through monthly payments. We have had a shared responsibility with UBRA for the past 10 years in the aspect of management of the savings through investments, because many of the fund managers whom we license are also licensed by UBRA. Although UBRA focuses a lot more on the pensions or the retirement savings that they manage. So we have done this role together, we've had this shared role. The synergies we have drawn from this partnership have been very beneficial, and we look forward to continuing to work together with UBRA in the future.
We see growth in number of schemes in this market. Today we are talking of 65 schemes. In the past we are talking of 3 schemes that were established by an Act of Parliament. That is the Public Service Pension Scheme, the Parliamentary Pension Scheme, and the NSSF. All of them established by an Act of Parliament.
More importantly is to say that the journey that UBRA has walked over the 10 years have been challenging, but also refreshing, in a sense that they came into a virgin market. There was no regulator before them, especially in the pension sector. So what they started with was commendable. Let's do a stock taking. Let's understand the market. Who is doing what in the market? So I think that phase helped UBRA create the visibility, create identity for the first 3-4 years. Over the years, they've also been able to do publicity to kind of show the market, show the public that this is what we do, and especially as you plan for your retirement.
At least for the last 10 years, we've not had any corruption, loss of members' funds. We've also not had any poor investments, because investments are all known, structured, in particular known asset classes that provide a very good return to the member. And actually in this period in time, that's when the sector has witnessed high returns to the members, double-digit returns for the last 5 years or thereabout.
So, in my opinion, that is trust from the general public that we are doing the right thing, and we hope that we continue to do that.
In the next 10 years, what I would like to really see going forward is the spread of coverage, because the pension sector as it is now is really in the formal sector. And when you look at the working population of Uganda, if you even put it at around 20 to 25 million, the working population, not even 3 million are covered by pensions.
I think my main message.
What should UBRA's next 10 years focus on? I would say that UBRA's next 10 years should be to now build this 20 trillion asset base that has been generated, should actually be able to ensure a comfortable life in retirement for all members who are in the retirement schemes. But UBRA should also then allow and come up with mechanisms to support the players to be able to onboard all the smallholders, all the informal sector to come in and secure their retirement by participating and joining the licensed pension schemes in the market.
And so my thinking is that we need to support the institution, particularly Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, needs to support resource mobilization for allocation to the authority so that the authority can continue with the widening the coverage.
People now, instead of keeping money in boxes, will keep here, and it is in the financial sector, and it's easy to tap in. And the cost of money will go down, but our investment in the country will go high. And I can tell you, if you make very good regulations, we will have the support of Parliament.
I believe that the next 10 years are quite pivotal. We've gone through the best building of the industry, and right now we are at the point where we have to be tasked with generating value for our clients and exhibiting relevance over the next 10 years. I'm very, very confident. In fact, I'm really proud of the work that has been done for the last 10 years, and my imagination runs wild. What is possible for the next 10 years.
And the other key achievement that or work in progress that UBRA is trying to do, which I again encourage different stakeholders in this sector, particularly Parliament, to support UBRA, is the coming up with a national micro pension scheme. Uganda is, our economy is largely informal, and even within the cities, we have so many people who are operating informally, and yet they earn income, either daily, either weekly or monthly. They earn income in one way or the other. But if not well guided, and I think this particular scheme, the micro pension scheme, would again help reorganize our people in the formal sector to put something aside. Because if you are in our market today, if you're a road vendor today, if you're a hawker today, if you're a border today, if you're a fisherman today, you still have that energy to go nearly every day in the waters and do fishing, to go to Nakawa market every morning to pick tomatoes, vegetables. But that strength with time, as years come by, begins to dwindle. That means the same basket that you can carry now, you are not able to carry in the next 5 years or 10.
So our focus, what really keeps us awake when I wake up in the morning, that drives my day, protection of members' funds.
So what I see going forward for the next 10 years is an organization that is efficient, that is creating value for the benefits. Efficiency meaning when I contribute, I must be guaranteed that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I retire, my money will be there. And ensuring that the monies that I contribute are invested in assets that will make my money grow. Not just putting in 1 shilling, and 20 years you're paid 1 shilling. When I put in 1 shilling, I should be paid 100 shillings at the end of 30 years. And that's the objective, and that's efficiency.
I think to the customer out there, who might not even think they're a customer because you ride a border, you are in the garden, you don't even have anything to your name, UBRA will find you wherever you are and will look after you, because it's their mandate to look after you in retirement. And they can only look after you in retirement if you avail yourself now. And all they want to do for you is to make sure that when you hang up your boots, when I hang up this jacket in retirement, UBRA wants me to live a fulfilled life, a life bereft of poverty, a life of joy and happiness. And UBRA works with people and different entities to deliver that. As service providers, I think we'd want to say congratulations again, UBRA. We feel the heat sometimes, but we are ready for the task.
As we celebrate, let's also remember that there are those who are not yet part of the saving culture, and we find ways of bringing them forward. I wish you a happy celebration.
As we celebrate 10 years of service protecting retirement benefits in this country, allow me to thank the Board of Directors of Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. You have been very instrumental and very focused. Allow me also to thank the staff and management of UBRA. You have supported the cause. Allow me also to thank my predecessors, the first interim CEO, Mr. Moses Bekavio, the Chief Executive Officer, my immediate predecessor, Mr. Bonyi David Nyakundi, the government of Uganda who have supported us, providing us with all the resources that we need from the day UBRA started up to now, the regulated entities, the stakeholders, the fund managers, the custodians, the administrators. Without you, we would not be talking of structures of governance in this market. And of course, the members who are saving, who have trusted us who have continuously saved with the different schemes. Allow me to assure you that as we deliberate on this direction for the next years of service, at UBRA, we shall continue to protect your retirement benefits. May God bless you. May God bless your families. May God bless our country, Uganda. Let us celebrate as we thank God.
It is a creative industry talk. My name is Eddie Okela and this is House of Talent Television. Welcome to the program. This week on the program, we bring you the story of those who are doing it in Uganda. And of course, we are always talking about local content development by Uganda, build Uganda. Do we really understand what this means? Do we know what local content development means? Everyone is talking about it. And today on the program, we decided to focus mainly on the woodwork in Uganda. You know, the creative industry talk is talking about, you know, furniture building in Uganda. Do you buy Ugandan furniture? Do you have a Ugandan furniture in your building? Or are you all the way flying to China and to all these other places to have furniture from there? Yet you have people who are doing this woodwork in Uganda. On the program today, we focused their story and of course the interview to the young men who I found around the streets of Kampala. One day I was driving and I was looking for Ugandan furniture, and so I used to drive on the same road over and over, and I see this place and there's just a couple of young people just doing their stuff, you know, crazy ideas and, you know, things put around the place, and I decided to give them a visit. It started raining, so I stood there for a couple of hours watching and seeing what was going on while I wait for a table to come to my office. And indeed, they made a table. So what I was looking for was, do they really understand what they're doing? Do they understand the art, you know, behind the creativity that they're actually, you know, involved in? And along the way, I realized that they just simply need, you know, somebody to believe in them. So we decided to bring them onto the program today so that we can enjoy the creative minds and the creative people of Uganda in the woodwork in Uganda, in the furniture business in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, all across the world, welcome you all to the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, my guest today is a man from the eastern part of Uganda. David Anderson Onyango was one of the people leading that particular business, you know, on that particular street in Kampala, Uganda, to the furniture business and supply in Kampala. David, welcome to the program. How are you doing? Here we spread the love. When you do this, you must spread the love. So you have to spread the love, yes. Welcome to the program, and I'm going to take off my glasses so that the creativity can start. First of all, we want to start from a very lighter note. Who is David Onyango?
Well, I am David Onyango Anderson. As you said, from the east, but born and raised of Kampala.
Okay.
I've roamed the streets of Kampala. I've seen my childhood through Kampala, my best and worst. And I am now a woodworker, a law student, and a mental health worker, all in one person.
Yes. So when you say you're not a woodworker and a mental health worker, but first we want to take you growing up. Who was David growing up? What did you want to be in life? What were you looking for in life growing up?
Well, growing up, I went to school in Chitante, right here. I was a very argumentative person. So I think law was always the option for me. But I was interested in art as an option, as a main part of my life. I was interested in creating beautiful things because I saw beauty in the things I saw most of the times. So I think that explains my choices in both law, which is something I'm passionate about, and woodworking, which gives me the chance to create art physically and see it.
Okay. So we want to just, get straight to this interview and just try to sort of like know you from a certain, angle and with a certain lens. When you were growing up, did you ever make those wired cars, things you used to use when you were learning how to drive, making those things, were you that creative when you were growing up?
I was, actually.
What is the memorable thing that you think you created when you're growing up that when you look back today, you can say it all started from here?
I think it was around 2002. I created my first tipper with actually the ability to tip its content. All in the streets of Mulago, and it had lights, it had the tipping part.
Yes.
I refused to sell it off. I would sell a lot of items, but I kept that one for myself because I think it was the beginning of it.
Yes. Now, talking of that, did your father or your mother ever see you as a creative person?
Well, I grew up with my mother for most of the time, and as you know, life in Kampala, you don't really get time to be with your parents a lot of the times because they're always pulling ends together. But I think, I don't know if she saw it, but she gave us the freedom to explore.
Yeah.
She did not control us a lot.
Okay.
She controlled our behaviors, but she gave us the freedom to do our own things that were within her rating of moral and fine. So we had that chance. We could do this, as you said, small wire cars and sell them off, and she would let us use our money for our things. And I think that pushed us forward to know that, well, if you create something good, then you can get money from it. And I think the greatest motivation is always money at the end of the day.
You speak with the word plural, which means us. Who are we? Us referring to who? How many are you in the family, and are you the firstborn or the lastborn?
I am the second lastborn. We are in a family of 4 children. I have a bigger brother, I think, who comes up more in the plural form. I have a sister who is a graphic designer. Still, I think art is in the family in a way.
Yes.
And my big brother was the inspiration into woodwork at the main part, because there's a bigger age gap, so he went into the business before me, and he pulled me into it. But even in the start, he inspired me a lot.
Okay. I'm talking of that, we are talking to David Onyango here. We're talking about woodwork. This entire interview today on the Creative Industry Talk, we're talking about furniture in Kampala, furniture in Uganda, furniture in Africa. Do Africans buy their own furniture? Do we buy things made from our own people? Do we sit in things made by our own people? Today's topic is looking at the local content development, focusing on Ugandan-made furniture. And of course, we have David Anderson Onyango from he's the business development director at, formerly it's called Arc Furniture, but now it's called Chronicle Furniture. I learned this morning. Oracle Furniture, I learned this morning. And it's a new business. They are situated on Bukoto Kisasi Road. And these guys do amazing stuff. So we brought them on the show today so that you can actually understand that there are some simple Ugandans creating local content that are good for our businesses. David, we want to go back to this interview and start this interview from a very interesting point. So let's talk about woodwork. Furniture, Ugandan-made furniture. What is your definition of a Ugandan-made furniture?
Well, my definition of Ugandan-made furniture has expanded a bit the deeper I went into the industry. Initially, Ugandan-made furniture was woodwork. It had to be woodwork. But the creative minds that we are, Ugandans, we've expanded. We've expanded into the medium density fiber boards, that is MDF ordinarily. We've expanded into reclaimed wood furniture, where we have the pallet furniture. So it has really grown, but to me the definition would be that it's a piece made by a Ugandan in Uganda and with our own creativity here, because we have a different scope of creativity from everyone else.
All right, very good. And what is your understanding of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda? We are always talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. What is your understanding of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, Bobo?
Well, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, I think this is what empowers us as Ugandans to come back to our to develop and support our own pieces of furniture here, our own items here, made by our creativity and our materials. And it pulls us back to understand that we are going to receive furniture that has been made based on our ability as Ugandans, but feel proud of it because it is made here by our own and from our own materials.
Talking of that, David, most times we think that, when we're looking to buy a bed, I go to Nina Interiors of this world, I go to big time furniture shops to get a bed. But also there are these guys on the roadside for low cost housing conditions, furniture, where people usually just go to, buy their bed for that area. But we tend to think about validation and the point of buying furniture from the sense that I want imported furniture. That is when I feel that I have spent my money right. Having started this business, what motivated you to move towards it, and why? Why yet the odds against you are quite too straight that I will go to Mina Interior to buy furniture from, or I will go to slightly moderate place to buy furniture from there because I want to, there's this notion that a Ugandan made furniture is not good.
Well, my main motivation was and still is the fact that when I look at the furniture from what you call the high class sell places, I don't see any difference. They actually work a lot on budget. So our local furniture, our local carpenters here do produce items, let's say a bed, using the same materials, the same quantity of wood and even more, and waste it. But because they demand so less from themselves, they keep it at a given rate of quality. They didn't seek to compete with they had actually quoted themselves as the lower end and gotten satisfied with that.
All right, you guys are coming in to sort of like redefine the thinking that has always been there of we can make the Ugandan wood look good, and a person can be more prouder to buy from Uganda and even custom make something to their taste. How has that journey been like, and how are Ugandans responding to that creativity?
Initially, it was hard, really hard, because most of these people, when they get their money, they want to go and buy this piece. I mean, buy it, take it home, and then they're done with that purchase. And sometimes due to less capital, the manpower, you need the time to actually create this. So first of all, you demand something which is very rare from someone, and that is first of all trust and time. And these are very valuable at the same time. So it's really been a challenging journey, trying to get people to trust you and then give you the time.
Okay, so having gotten people to trust you and get to this level, let's talk about your first customer when you started. The very first day you guys walked out to start something. What did you create for a customer? Did you create for yourself? How did you start?
Initially, we actually worked from our own home. So we depended on our own contacts. We began with friends. First with family, then friends. Then my own realization was that the recommendations are better at the end of the day. So we began getting the recommendations. Until well, it became a bit hard to invite someone to your home to show them furniture. So you had to now think of a location.
Yeah.
And that is how the journey started. And the trust came from people who knew us because they knew we had something to lose more than money itself.
Yeah.
And then the other strangers that trusted us because they trusted someone else.
Yes.
Until we've reached at an extent
Yeah.
where we are able to at least now attract trust without a middle person and without prior knowledge of the person.
Okay. David, just before we go for a break, would you quantify and qualify that as being, that very last part of it says, as being, attributed to the fact that when you did something, the person you made for felt happy and felt like, I can recommend these people? Or how did you get to that point of building trust? Because trust in the foundation of business, globally, economy is built on trust. I trust you, I give you business, I trust that you take my creative thinking and turn it into a reality, and you give me this furniture that when I sit in, if it's a chair, I feel good. If it's a table, I feel nice to sit and take my cup of coffee or eat food. If it is bed, when I go to sleep, I feel comfortable that this is something I thought about how I wanted the bed to be like, and I went to David with my creativity, and he turned around my creativity into a reality.
Well, definitely, it is because we've been able to pay back these people's consideration, the customers' consideration, exactly the way they give it back. Take for example, when most of the times, first of all, when someone trusts you and then they give you the time, so one thing they don't want is an excuse, so you keep it out of the equation. And then there's also the ability to own up to a mistake because you can't eradicate them. But every time you own up to a mistake, it gives you the relationship between the customer and the maker and the seller sort of a new fresh page to begin from, because it is not something everyone does.
Okay. We're talking to David Anderson Onyango from the Oracle Furniture, Limited, straight out of Kampala from the Bukoto, Kisasi Road, and these guys do amazing stuff. You need to check them out. They're on the Creative Industry Talk. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, the interview with David will continue while we dive into the whole point of creativity. What is creativity by his understanding, and does what he does every single day represent the whole heart of creativity? Furniture, Ugandan-made furniture. Do you have a furniture in your house, by the way? If you don't have one, perhaps you need to consider these guys. All of us dream big, but you must have somebody who can bring your dream into a reality. Stay right there. I'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
If you create a space which enables people to think and thrive, that's a bonus. Before I started working officially, I used to do a lot of freelance work. And as a young freelancer, my laptop was on my back. And I didn't have an internet connection. I didn't have an office desk. It was difficult for me to work at home. So what I did is I would go and sit in a restaurant, buy some tea or breakfast, and ask for a Wi-Fi password. And then I would sit there and have my breakfast slowly, as I did my work, and I sent work to clients and everything, But before long, lunchtime, it would be lunchtime, and they would
be forced to eat also.
They would bring you a lunch menu. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So when you find a space where people can come and sit and pay for a full day.
10,000, I'm told.
Yes, you see, that is creativity.
Yeah.
Because the owner of this building or the owner of this space knows that people, there's a certain segment of the market that can't afford to rent a premises per square meter or 10 square meters or 100 square meters and pay monthly and bring their own furniture, their own internet connection, carpeting, light and everything, a working bathroom, and then lunch for staff members. So they think about it creatively and they say, how many people can this space take? 100 people per day. Okay, good. If each of those people pays 10,000 per day, and they come and have access to the internet and a nice chair and a desk and a good environment where they can concentrate and deliver. That is brilliant. That is creativity in the workplace.
It is a Creative Industry Talk, and welcome back to the program. In the studio, we are talking to David Anderson Onyango from Oracle Furniture Limited. David, welcome back to the program. David, a lot of time when I am dreaming, everyone in life dreams of something good, something, you know, fantastic, something, you know, nobody wants to live a poor life, you know, and we believe that everybody is born creative. We all aspire to have something good in life. Furniture is one of those things that we want to have at home. Nobody wants to be in a house that doesn't have good chairs or good beds, or you know, or a TV stand and stuff like that. We want to talk to you about creativity from the point of how you take my creative thinking and turn it to a reality that becomes the table or become the TV stand that I use at home. And most times, you know, carpenters in Uganda, all world over, they always say that if a carpenter is too good to produce something for you, then they are too difficult to deal with. They take too long to produce the stuff. Typically, take us through the process of you taking my thinking and turning it into a reality dream of a furniture, of a table that I need to have home. And how long does it typically take? Because sometimes you take way too long that people get frustrated. That's why we go for imported wood.
Well, it is very true, and it is a great challenge to, I think, the furniture industry generally. And I think that is what gives a lot of platform to those people that sell finished products.
Yes.
But for custom woodworkers, first of all, you have to understand that the time is not negotiable. The time of production, actually, the process through which this item is supposed to be produced cannot be altered. Usually the altering comes with its own effects. So first of all, it takes honesty to please tell the customer or the person ordering that after this description, it will take this time. And I think while you give the time, you need to put an allowance for yourself based on how busy you are. So the biggest challenge with oftentimes in the furniture industry, they call it the technical curse.
Yes. Because
the more skilled someone is, then they develop the pride first of all. Then they develop the fact that they are irreplaceable. They're like, you will go and then you will come back. So that is not a business mind.
Yes,
but for a person that wants to do both woodwork as a passion and as a business, you have to balance through these things. You have to balance through these things. You have to keep enough pride so that you don't let a customer push you into a shorter time when you know it is impossible to fulfill. And then you have to lower the pride a bit to be able to alter and know that the customer is key. And you are going to need them either through a recommendation or a second job. So when you balance the two, you treat the customer right, you treat the furniture right, and then you receive their ideas, but still you don't alter the carpentry principles, the woodworking principles, because the customer is ordering. You have to maintain the principles, and that way you produce the exact same thing and the perfection that they seek, which pushes them to come back.
Okay. David, do you think that is the same process that everyone out there goes through? Because, well, you have an education clearly to yourself, and there are these people who just learned the skill from the street. They are creative people. They started from there. They are able to do something great for themselves, but they don't have a business mind. How would you help such a person have a business mind and turn around? You know, while we're talking about the local content creation for, you know, buy Uganda, build Uganda.
Exactly. I think historically, woodworking has been passed on, carpentry has been passed on through apprenticeship. So that is the biggest challenge. You learn the skill, you don't get the business skill because the teacher wants to keep their customers.
Yes.
But then, due to the current development, we have the technical schools teaching carpentry. They're teaching the theoretical part, but they are indulging less business. And then the business methods they indulge in are also less practical. They have been written in books. They have not been actually applied sometimes. So I think one needs to first of all learn the dynamics. Consider carpentry as a business, as a trade. And the rules of trade are the same regardless of which trade you're going in. We have standard rules that don't change. So currently, I think it is something I took upon myself, and in our kind of business, we do have apprentices, by the way. We do take in students. They learn, especially through the lockdown. We've had a lot of them coming in and to take on the skill. But we always give them 1 or 2 days in a month where they come into the selling desk and they get to see what it means to actually do the sale. You don't have to be on the planer all the time, on the circular saw. You need to know that after the circular saw, this customer doesn't know it exists. How do you inform them that it is the step that is going forward on their object? And then we've kind of opened up the industrial part of carpentry to the customers. They're actually very thrilled when they see how these things are done.
Yeah, so you actually take them in and show them the process, like they say, process by process, process by process, how these things are going. Yes, exactly. So you take them through. So when a customer goes behind and sees this process by process of the woodwork going, when you look at them, what are they seeing at that point? And what is their response when you finally deliver this final piece to their home or to their sitting room or to their offices? Yeah.
Well, they're always very thrilled. It is surprising, even to some of us sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes someone will order something custom, and then you make a work plan, and then you sit and you're like, is this achievable?
But it's a creativity from you.
Exactly. And then as the process goes on, there are customers who have, before the process, who ask for pictures of the process. And then even ourselves take pictures of the process sometimes. And then sometimes you move to a certain level and you call your fellows, and then this is how it's turning out. Okay. And then there's advice. And then when the customers also come in and they look at it and they're like, is that really going to come out? And you're like, wait. And the thrill after they see it coming out, it creates a different set of attachment to this. Some customers have asked for please, can you bring it and I assemble it myself? They want to feel like they're now part of this production team, the production of this item, and they talk about it a lot of times, and it keeps them coming back to the workshop. Some of them have indulged their children into this woodworking just because of how they saw it move. And now the availability of power tools has improved a lot. Yeah. It has improved the whole process. It has made it more conducive for the customers to see and for us to work. The environments we work in are less cluttered, and that is.
So it's not woodwork as we used to know back in the days, where the guy would be, with a nail banging things and trying to turn around things, and it's more professional now. It's more like you're saying that we're learning from you. There's more, electronic tools that have come in that has made this kind of creativity quite very easy. David, that's really fascinating to hear that the customer is involved in the process. So do you think having the customers involved in this process is beginning to change the mindsets of Ugandans, of Africans, that yes, we can make this ourselves, yes, we can make our own furniture, yes, we can make beautiful things, yes, we can turn around our living spaces and, to something that we enjoy to be in, that I can actually be creative and see my room, my little room like this, and think about how this is going to be here, that's going to be there, and I walk to a carpenter and make this, become a reality. Do you think that is improving as the time goes? And where do you see us in the next, couple of years from now?
Well, it's really improving a lot. It has helped a lot. First of all, for the customers to set realistic goals, because as they discuss with the woodworkers, you get to exchange the impossibilities and the possibilities. See, I want this, but that kind of wood you want cannot achieve this particular goal. Yeah. So if you want that as an end result, you have to come into this type of wood. And then the advantages and differences and disadvantages of each type of wood. I'll give a live example. If you want a white item to be in color white, a piece of furniture to be in color white, it is more difficult to use a muvule piece of wood, because muvule is naturally yellow. So if you paint white on it, the yellow will always come out.
Yes,
so
yes.
these kind of lessons to customers has made it more easy, and it has also helped the industry grow a lot. Yeah. It is now more interactive, and interaction has always yielded good fruits, because in that way you get to know each other's challenges and work ways around them every time you're doing transactions with those people.
Okay, so I've seen there are people who come up with good ideas. They have an understanding of what they're looking for as a place, or as a wood, or as a furniture to have at home. And in most cases, they say, I want a black and green and yellow furniture at the same time. Do you always advise them, you know, like, do you go to somebody's house and say, look, the kind of furniture you want, looking at the space you have and looking at the colors that you have in the house will clash, and maybe you'll have to have this? And do customers usually respond to it? Because I see also another side where people are so obsessed with the, you know, spraying things and putting different colors. Natural things like the ones we have in the studio here is not very much, you know, looked at as beauty, you know. How do you deal with that? Do you advise them, or do they just come and say, I want the green table, give me a green table, and you give them? Like you said, Muvule is yellow. If you paint white, it's not going to come out very well. How do you go through that process of turning around the customers', you know, crazy creative ideas into a beautiful idea?
Well, it depends on how much the customer invites you in.
Yes.
We have customers that will pack up and then say, please, can I steal you away for 30 minutes? Yeah. I want to show you something, and then you can advise me.
Okay.
Now, when you give me that kind of platform, I'm going to advise you without even considering how much money I make. Well, sometimes someone will come to you and then they're like, I want a Mugavu TV stand, but I want it wall mounted. But you see, a Mugavu TV stand is going to be extra kilograms.
Yes.
So
if you mount it on the wall and your wall is not strong, basically you're saying it will come down.
It is going to come down.
Yeah. So how do you help them achieve such,
sometimes,
unrealistic goals?
Yeah, most of the time, you do advise them. Yeah. If you want to wall mount, you're going into, you can go into something lighter. We have other lighter pieces of wood, and they look beautiful too. And we can tone them in different ways. Usually wood has a lot of its own tonation, but then when we are going to tone it artificially, we prefer the lighter varieties, the Mosambias, the pine. Well, pine has been embraced very much because of the environmental impact of the other hardwoods. We have pine, we're reclaiming with cypress. But you do advise the customer very much, and if they really came into a custom shop and they knew where they were coming, they'll just try to modify their ideas based on your advice, and then you can come up with a consensus on what exactly is going to work for them. And then the other idea is the idea of people taking custom measurements. This is your house, so if you want a TV stand, from where to where do you want it to run? So I'll advise you.
Wow. Well, we're talking to David Onyango, who is the business development director of Oracle Furniture Limited, a company based in Uganda. Started by local Ugandans, very young people. As you can see David here, the people he leads are very young. Fascinating to see that, David, you are actually a law student into furniture. I mean, usually putting on a very good necktie and being, called land friend is more respectable to some people out there than being called a carpenter law student. I mean, how do you balance the two? Why the woodwork and the law,
Well, for me, I think I loved being able to create things every time. And when I went into law, I knew I had the power to create words, to change them and alter them, to determine new things, and do different things with my mouth, with how I speak and how I write. Yeah. So I had one part of my creativity that I had not tampered with, and that is the physical, creating something I can actually see. That is why I decided to have the same combination. Funny story, when I finished with my A-level and I had a sponsor actually, and he engaged me on what the way forward was. I told him I have two options. See, I'm going into law school, oh, I'm going into carpentry school. I said, but well, those are not two options. That is one. You're going into law school.
Yes.
I said, okay, then that is law school. So I went into law school, but the passion did not go away. So I brought myself back into carpentry personally after chasing after law, and I'm still chasing after it. And the carpentry has been able to pay for, you know, the expenses of law school. In excesses. It pays, it maintains me, and it has given me a chance to show a lot of other young people like me that we can do this. Well, you may not have two options like me. You may have one, which is law. You may have one, which is woodwork. You don't have to stay into one. You don't fix into one. You can go into each of your options, or you can take them on as a bunch. The human brain has the ability to do both.
Wow. Well, we are talking to David Anderson Onyango, and this is a Creative Industry Talk where we discuss Ugandan local content specifically and directly, you know, focused on, you know, local content development on woodwork and specifically on Ugandan-made furniture. How do you find Ugandan-made furniture? We're going to be showing you some really good furnitures out there made by these guys in people's homes from their workshop. We want to make sure that everybody who is out there and is a creative mind, you know, find this platform quite a very interesting platform for them to be part of. And of course, creativity and coffee goes all together, David.
Told me, Jeremy, there is no way you can call your book Man on Top. And I said, no, I'm actually going to call it Man on Top because I think I can sell it. Okay, I think I can sell it. And so the first task for me was to define Man on Top away from the definition it already has.
That we already know.
Yes. So for me, a man on top is a man that is faithful, dependable, and responsible. So I began a campaign about saying you're a man on top, you're faithful, you're responsible, you're productive. So every man has within them a desire to be those three things, to be faithful, to be productive, and to be responsible. So every person who thought they were faithful, responsible, and productive said to call themselves a man on top. You see, that was the idea in terms of the title. The cover really was purely about getting people to pick up the book, especially the ladies. I think it worked.
Young people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook. Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials. And I understand the traditionalists. There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand. Remember Prince? Prince.
Welcome back to the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela and this is House of Talent Television. Of course, we're talking to David Anderson Onyango from Oracle Furniture Limited. You know, a Ugandan, authentic Ugandan outfit making furniture for people's beautiful homes, beautiful furniture, beautiful people. And you can go there and create your own. And he's earned himself the right to be on the Creative Industry Talk because some of the things in the studio where we're seated today is actually done by David and his people. The first time I met these guys, I went into their workshop, sat there and decided I have something I need them to do for us. And so I like to, you know, work with creative people, creative Ugandans, young people, whether young or old, I want to bring them together. I love to bring the best out of people. So I decided to give them the opportunity to be able to build a woodwork and to build a studio with me, and we did this together. David, welcome back to the program. And we want to talk about it. So this studio here is built by you guys. You know, the woodwork in this studio built by you guys. We gave you guys a recommendation, and we've got a fantastic review coming back from Legal Hub that they're very happy with their studio. You were never traditionally doing studios. You didn't even do them. We open up the door for you. How does that make you feel like when somebody takes you away completely from making chairs and beds and, you know, the living, you know, room, you know, furniture, to now building, you know, TV studios, radio studios, and audio studios? How does that make you feel like?
Seriously, it is a very good experience. When I'll begin from your items here, the studio work. When we first produced them, everyone was stopping at the workshop. So what is this? Is this for decoration? So it was a totally new thing to us, to the viewers, to the people that pass by, other customers. We actually, before we got, after doing your studio work, before we got a second recommendation from you people, we did these items for a few other people. Others wanted them for decoration. Pastors wanted them in churches. I want it at the pulpit. I want this. And they didn't know why we were doing them, but they looked beautiful. It was even more fascinating for us who knew why we had done them in the first place. And they are years. So it is really, really great. And since we did decide to embrace custom woodworking as a trade, we are always comfortable with this. Someone can come in. We have a rule at my workplace with and me and my guys, that even if you came in and told us you want a wooden Range Rover, we would ask for a year, but we would make it.
All right, and then of course, so you see the beautiful work here at House of Talent is made by these guys. David, we want to dive into the last part of the show, which is about, you know, understanding the local content. We're talking about, you know, local content development in Uganda. Everybody's talking about it. The politicians are talking about it, but nobody actually really goes down to, you know, the deep end dive into the local content. Nobody puts their mind to know how does it work. Nobody wants to talk to a carpenter to see how a carpenter is doing it. Do carpentry people make sense? We have many carpentry shops around, or, you know, workshops around, but we don't give them opportunity to produce something beautiful. We want to be able to live by example, to say this is built by Ugandans, this is built by the local people. When I go to the US or to Europe or to America or to the UK or to Asia, you know, do it your way is the main thing. The skilling of people is done from that point, that I am able to build my furniture from home. I was talking to a friend of mine in Germany, and he said, man, I built every furniture in my house myself. He left Uganda, he had no skill at all. Our education didn't teach him that. And when he got there, he said it's more expensive to bring a carpenter to build something for you than when you build it for yourself. But they're willing to come and teach you how to do it, and then you can do it by yourself. That I found that very fascinating. So a lot of us are talking about local content development, but we don't know. We're talking about build Uganda, buy Uganda, build Uganda. But the quality of what we're talking about, the quality of the production we're producing, the products we're producing to give, you know, to people is not worth, it cannot compete with the international, you know, or imported products coming into Uganda. What is your say in that regard, now that you have carved a niche in the market for you and your people, that we want to be people who bring out custom made? You have a crazy idea, bring the crazy idea to us, we will bring it to a reality.
Well, in my own point of view, and based on my experiences so far, in my time in woodwork, I think as Ugandans, we would be more, even right now, our pieces, the items, our ability to produce things, if we concentrate, is fascinating. It is something so great to see someone get out a stump of wood and then produce something extraordinary for you. You can do it while the person is sitting there. And that is very fascinating. So if we can produce this good with these little resources, then I think what we need is the push of resources. I'll take you to a part that is absurd, basically, about in woodwork. The prices of power tools for us, the tools we actually need to produce these high quality pieces of wood, of furniture is immense here. And when I have platforms where I engage with carpenters from different parts. I have a subscription from a woodworking site called America's Guild, Woodworkers of America's Guild. And when you look at these people talking about their drill press, their circular saws, table saws, routers, they talk about very little prices, even when converted into our own prices here. Someone buys a router saw at let's say 300,000. That is their price converted to ours. And here is a quality router saw that is durable is supposed to be at least 1.5.
Yeah.
So that is really the greatest setback. Remember, carpentry is a very hard business to pitch, because it's always dependent on other people.
Yeah.
It is easy for you to pitch a business if someone can easily understand it, but people don't understand the transition from wood to furniture. So it is hard to pitch, so you don't get people investing. And if you're willing to invest, then you may find yourself having capital to only buy 3 power tools, and they can't produce a piece of furniture. So I think that is our biggest challenge here. Otherwise, I've had a lot of foreigners coming in, even personally at my workshop, and then someone says, well, I didn't know we can have this kind of furniture here.
Yeah.
This is so good. I've seen young men that have gone as far as following up on the background of the trees they are going to use for furniture. So someone will give you a furniture piece and tell you that one was made from a tree that was 50 years old. And you know, these people have methods of measuring these things, the whites, and then they're going to prove it. It's 50 years old. And this is fascinating, how someone is able to explain a piece of furniture in their house back to the tree and how old it was. So this shows how our capability as Ugandan furniture creators, as young people. Actually, woodwork has been stormed by young people, and this is somehow a good thing, because you know how our brains work is. I would say personally, at our workshop, at Oracle Furniture, our oldest, our age gap is between 38 and 14. So we have people as young as 14 years, and our oldest person is 38. Okay. So you can see that we are between the range that is ready to risk, that is ready to experiment with new ideas, and to think outside the box. And that gives us an edge. And this is what, as Ugandans, not only in carpentry, but in any other trade, we are supposed to embrace. If someone is willing to risk, and they are positively sure that their risk is going to produce something great, you need to trust them a bit. You need to give them a bit of a gap to experiment.
So in other words, you're saying that we must be able to allow people room to express themselves.
Exactly.
And when they have something new, we should be able to give them opportunity and a platform for them to, express themselves and to do it. David, let's go straight to your workplace. Earlier on when we started the show, you were talking about how you guys started and the motivations, and how you walked through in the first place. I want to just put a few pictures up to actually show you that these guys, talk about things that they are doing. That's right there. Is that you and David? And that's the workshop and how it all started?
Yeah, this is how we started.
Yes.
And actually this was our first big addition, the metal structure.
Yes.
After we started, we were in a tarpaulin, in a small tent, where when it rains we would cover ourselves with our working tools under the tarpaulin.
Okay, and yes, so is that the whole business creative idea starting there of the workshop itself?
Yes, now that is, we are creating our first structure of a house. After hitting one big job, I think, and we are sitting down now. We have to begin looking at protecting our materials, but also creating something someone can look at.
Yeah. Okay. And So when you are sitting with your young people and you're all coming with ideas, were your business ideas written down, or was it just there in people's heads that you sit down there and, you know, jazz about these things and make it a reality, or you actually wrote a proper business plan and said, this is how we're going to do it? Again, there you are.
Well, I think the business plan is something we've written way deep into the business.
Yes.
That's when we decided, oh, this could become something greater. At first, we got into this whole idea as people seeking to earn a living. Young people who cannot steal, we cannot do any of these immoral things. We've been brought up in a way that it's not a choice for us. So we have one choice, is to sweat. And we had one person who had the audacity to know, who had gotten time to learn this. So he was like, yeah, we can. He knew how to make these things. He didn't know any other thing.
That's all he knows.
He knew how to make these things.
So did he grow up in the Jesus' time, because Jesus was born a carpenter, or what happened?
Actually, he ran into, he took on apprenticeship.
Yeah.
We were younger. That is our elder brother.
Yeah.
Actually, we are a partnership of 3 brothers in the workshop, and each has a specific skill.
Okay.
But the biggest was the skilled man. So first of all, he comes in, we respect him, and we've seen some of his works. After learning, he did a few things for family members. The feedback was good.
Okay.
But now, it was now a new era coming in, online marketing, social media. So, but I told him, but we can get some few customers from online, I think. He said, well, if you can, I am here to work.
Yes.
I got him one. I remember my first online customer was a doctor from Novik. I posted a small, it was was it a wardrobe?
Yeah.
On Facebook, and he liked it. He said, can I order? I said, you can definitely order. And I really welcomed him. I loved it.
Yes.
I remember myself pacing to Novik and back, to Novik and back, showing him the processes. And then I told Ronnie, this is our first deal. And
Go on.
And when we produced his wardrobe,
he
was very happy. He was very happy. We never got any other customer from him, not a recommendation, but it was enough push for us to know that now the market is not from someone who can see you, especially since we were working from home. So we went online, and that's where we started.
Okay.
Yeah, we started from there.
Well, David, I want to read a couple of comments from here. Somebody saying, Eddie Okila, thank you very much for bringing that gentleman on the show. I'm very interesting, and this is fascinating to see young people actually involve themselves in making, furnitures that are very, that can compete with some international product. I have a problem of quality. Most Ugandan carpentry people or people in carpentry business usually don't pay attention to details, and the quality is always wanting. Can you ask David, how are they doing it? Have they improved? Well, I think that we can ask David by putting some of the pictures up. We can see, let's put up some of the pictures from Arc Furniture up there so that people can see. So right there, let's talk to this. David, the process of making this chair, somebody's asking if you now improve attention to details. Yes. I guess he's talking about the cushions and the stuff like that, the fitting and stuff like that. Do you have other people who do this work?
Exactly. One thing that is tying the furniture industry back is the fact that you find one person wanting to do everything. So you always need that person that can cite who can do what best and let everyone specialize. Furniture is a very, very broad. It's a broad spectrum of work. So you cannot do it all well.
Actually, hold it there. So that right there, that was my table. So I walked to these guys and I gave them a huge challenge, and I said, I want you guys to make a 6-seater dining table for my house. And they made that table. I remember that table was rejected and it caused some serious problems. David, so how did you ever improve this table? Because the chairs are there, but the table, we didn't like them. Because of you guys became too creative in putting the lines which I didn't want and stuff like that. That's another problem. Perhaps the other gentleman is talking about. How do you, make sure you understand the client beyond just what they have told you and your creativity?
Well, I think particularly from that particular job, we were now trying to experiment with people who are more attentive to detail.
Yes.
People who actually know their furniture.
So was I a difficult client?
You were difficult at that time. But
yes.
But I think you were difficult. Yeah. But then, you know, every challenge comes with it a step for you to step higher.
Yes.
So from there on, I knew if you're ordering a table, and I think I did it on the second one. What do you want? What don't you want?
Okay.
Can I add this? Can I add this? Can I add this? So
there you have it. The table was changed. Is now right there. Isn't that beautiful, people? Do you have a furniture? So that's a table in my house done by these guys and looks beautiful. Let's check the next picture and see. We did the chairs and somehow it was right there. So how does this make you feel when you've finished and delivered something like this to somebody's home? Of course, I have issues with the cushions, which is the person was asking, the attention to details. The one who did the cushion wasn't. So yeah, that's my house. I like to make sure that you know, my things are done by Ugandans. So that's not an imported wood, just so you know. It's a wood created by these guys, and you can go into their workshop and give them business. Let's see another picture. And that it look like, yeah, right there. So they had improved the attention to details, as you can see, you know. And I went for something called ironwood. You want to explain what ironwood is? I gave them some bloody nose, as they call it in Uganda. It was a difficult thing for them to. Yes, David, pick it up from there. Yes.
Well, ironwood, actually, I think among all our customers, Eddie, you are the only person that has ironwood.
Yeah.
And even if you move this country again,
yes.
maybe you would find someone else from Sudan. This is ironwood particularly. This is a wood type from Sudan, from Central Sudan, from the Central Sudan forests mostly. It is a very hard piece of wood. It is too hard that even working it, you need to know it. And it's mostly worked by people from the north because they have access from it to eat, so they've gotten time to experiment with it. In the central here, it is very hard because even the materials we have here, like the wood glue and everything, will not work with it. We actually had to order a specific amount of a specific type of glue called well, I'm forgetting the name. Pono glue from Kenya to work with your pieces, because every other type of wood we had here kept rejecting. Every other type of glue kept rejecting the piece of wood. It would again split. But it was a nice experience working with the ironwood, and it is very beautiful. It's very grainous. It is really a rich type of wood. It supplements mugavu, which is the most grainous wood we have here, locally growing here in Uganda. But ironwood was a new experience for me. And when I recommend it to customers, well, I recommend them.
You must have an exquisite taste to certain things. The first time I interacted with that wood, I was out of Uganda, and I found out that some of the furniture in White House in the US is made by some of the finest woodwork from, you know, Sudan and, you know, this place is called Congo. And you too can actually make sure you get something that you love and you can be part of. And I want to stretch this point to so many people out there that when you dream of having a furniture in your house, you need to be able to put that picture up again so I can explain it to people, you know, something that people don't understand. When you have a dream, we all dream of something cool and beautiful that we want to have. And you can set up the target and take your time, but you must find people who are able to do it. That type of wood is what is used in White House. If you look at the White House and, you know, many of these state house, you know, particularly in Europe, they have some very exquisite taste for wood. I mean, President Putin, for example, his wood in his in the state house, if we call it, or you know, the Russia house, whatever we call it, is such an amazing taste of wood. Now, it's created by a carpenter. So when I walked out there and I interacted with some of these things, one time I was in Dominican Republic, and I went to a house, one of those training I do, and I saw some certain type of wood. That's when I interacted with some of the most beautiful wood, and I said, one day we will have this. So Yes, it's something that I want people to understand, that you can have your own dream, and your dream can be brought to a reality, and your dream can live. So it's not just a very any type of wood. David can tell you, the first time I gave it to them, it was very difficult to deal with. And I want to share that experience. Was I a crazy customer to you guys when we first started?
Well, unfortunately, I will say yes.
Yes.
Because when you talked about, well, I want ironwood, I went to the procurement guy and told him, you know what, Ronnie, that is my big brother, by the way.
Yes.
We need ironwood. Yes. He said, what is that? I said, no, there is ironwood. So he goes to industrial area where we purchase this wood. He tried to call every wood person he knows, asking for ironwood, and they told him, unless you're looking for ebony, which you're also not going to get, there's nothing like ironwood. I said, but no. I went online, I gave him pictures of ironwood. So now he goes with a picture, I want this type of wood. And it was lucky for us, that lucky for Eddie too, that we came across someone who had a full warehouse of ironwood.
You could tell them the story of how long that wood has been there.
He had a full warehouse of ironwood. This was a foreigner. This guy was Indian. I don't know if the warehouse had been captured in the 76 war that took off Amin.
Yes.
Then it had been kept locked for all this time. And this wood had been purchased with the intention of using it to make lorry bottoms.
Yes.
That is the wood that you find in the lorry bottoms.
Yeah.
Because even if you dipped it in water for a year, it will not react. It will not break. It will not dissolve. It won't even lose color. So that was ironwood. We find a full warehouse of ironwood and mahogany, and Ronnie says, well, there's a warehouse here. I said, let's go and look at it. And when I first had this, the wood had of course withered a bit, that you could not identify it from the top. I told him, no, let's go with our plane and let's plane one piece. And the beauty of it was excess. Actually, I think besides Eddie, I too have ironwood in my house.
Yes.
Because it was superb. It was something good. We first of all bought a section of the wood in the warehouse, but we ended up buying everything.
Yeah.
We bought everything. We had a sales agreement with this guy, and I told him, if you sell one piece, you're going to court.
And 90% of that wood is at House of Talent.
Exactly.
So again, I want to just make everybody understand that it is possible. We're talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. Just put it up there. We're talking about Ugandan-made furniture. Can you make it possible? Can Ugandans do it? So when we're talking about local content development, focusing on Ugandan-made furniture in this particular show today, we want you to know that buy from these guys, go to these guys and give them opportunity. These guys on Facebook, write to them, give them an order, and they'll be able to produce something very good for you. A lot of us are talking about these things. If you're a carpenter out there, send us a message, show us what you're having, and we'll definitely be able to bring this to you. IKEA has or makes the best type of woods and creativity in the whole world. All of us dream of buying IKEA, but do we have the money to buy IKEA? Do our earnings take us there? Can we reach there? If not, then it's something that we need to be able to think about the alternative, and these guys do much better job. David, we've got to bring this show to a close. Let's go back to your workshop and finalize some of the take us through the process of creativity that some of these furniture go through, so that somebody who is looking for what's that. For example, I see you fitting in a house. So do you custom made fitting? When you're talking about custom made fitting in a house, is that a new house?
Yes, that is a new house. We were on site in Imbarara. One of our customers, from a recommendation, he's a Kano,
okay.
Kano Baguma. Okay. I'll mention. So he gave us his whole house to furnish it. We first of all did his door work, door frames and everything. We shut the house. Then he said, I want now items. We have an album.
That's the door woodwork you're talking about?
Yes. Those were some of his doors. So we first of all have an album. We give you options. And then you pick your options, and then we produce what you choose.
Okay.
You can even alter some of these options. I want this, but we are going to change this to this. So when we create this for you, then we come on site and fit it ourselves, because, well, the fitting determines everything. If it's even if it's good and the fitting is wrong, it won't come out.
Okay, let's check on the next picture up there. The next picture, if you put the next picture up there, you were attempting to make, this was your first creation. Okay, let's talk about this. That's David Anderson Onyango up there, you know. So what was the story behind this desk? We see this thing on Pinterest. We don't know how it is made, but you guys are making up a table,
So that was our first attempt at a picnic, a folding picnic table.
Yes.
We get this customer, guy is Indian.
That guy right there is a law student who is into carpenter. Continue.
Guy is Indian. He says, I want a picnic table that folds. He sent us a video from Pinterest, of course.
Yes.
So he's like, but you people can't make this. I know. You just make one that is static. So I told him, if I make this and it folds, we are doubling the cost. He says, well, as long as it does what I want, I'm going to pay. So the initial cost was supposed to be 800,000 for one that doesn't fold. So he's like, oh, I told him it won't be 1.6. It will become 2 point something. He says, as long as I get this thing and it folds. He has a smaller compound, but he wants to be able to expand it when he has more guests. And you know, people host a lot of people over the weekends.
So why don't you make House of Talent a gift of that, you know, table? We want to see if you can make another one. You made one table. Put that picture up again and we see that video. If we can task Onyango to actually make this with his people and make one more table. Put it up right there. Let's see.
Well, that is me checking it out.
Yes. How long ago has this been?
Well, that was, I think, 4 months back.
Okay. And it is still working?
Perfectly.
So why don't you make this for House of Talent? We want one just to give us a sample and we see if you can use it here and see if you can recreate the same thing you have done before.
Well, the first agreement will be if you don't want it in ironwood. Because that will be the only issue. Otherwise, it is something very easy and it's something nice. And I would love so much to showcase it. Because this is something new. You don't find it everywhere.
Okay, next furniture. Let's see if we can run through this quickly, and we want to know whether, you know, you too can make an order with these guys. Please visit them up. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. What's that?
That's a chest of drawer. It's a 5-drawer chest. Yeah, but that was made for a customer who had purchased a baby coat from one of the big shops, but it didn't come with a chest of drawer. So he's like,
because he couldn't afford that one. I know it's very expensive when you go from there.
So he says, come around, see my bed and produce something.
Okay, so next, let's look at the other pictures. Okay, so that's the bed right there.
That's a mahogany bed. It's totally hardwood. It is all mahogany. It was made for one of our customers that is also a staunch wood fan like you, natural wood, no paint. It simply varnished to coat it, but it is no paint. All that is natural color.
Okay, next. This is the inside fitting.
Yes. Now these are fitted wardrobes, the ones that are unmovable. This was also on site in Kabale for one of our customers.
Wow. All right, next.
That is a two-seater dining set.
Okay.
Very rare. People don't usually order such things because, but that is me testing it out to make sure you won't fall. It was a mahogany. It was fully mahogany, ordered by one of our good customers. And
okay, and let's look at this. So this is right in your workshop.
Yes.
So how do we make sure that the cushions up there actually fit better? Because the downer one is fitting very well, but the upper one is fitting. And I met a friend of mine who said that we need to be able to use high density foam to be able to make sure that the seats are much more comfortable and stuff like that. Are you guys going into that? Are you partnering with people who are making this? Who makes the cushion? Do they understand? Do they measure it on? What's the process like as we close the show?
Well, we always advise customers that we are embracing the high density mattresses, and so our prices have become a little more competitive because when you're going into high density, the costs are higher. But we do give these options to our customers, and we actually refrain from making lower qualities because Well, sometimes you don't want someone talking bad about you, because when that customer can't explain that they ordered at a low price, it's the chair that's going to talk.
Yeah.
And if he's talking a bad language, it's bad for you already.
All right, well, we've been talking to David Onyango and we've brought the show to the close. David, thank you very much for coming to the program. What's your last word to a customer who is watching you, to somebody who's watching you, and to a carpenter who has never got an opportunity to be where you are today? What would you say to them, and what would you say to most Ugandans about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda?
I'll begin with the carpenters.
Yes.
People want to support you.
Mm-hmm.
Give them their quality.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the quality that they deserve. Charge them the money, but give them the quality. Because one thing I've learned in my experience is that people know good things and they are willing to pay for them. So you don't have to alter the quality just because you're pulling a price down. Make the quality fit the price, and then the right people will buy it. My advice to customers is that there are a lot of shady people in the carpentry business, but the good people are there too. So find them and they'll give you what you deserve. Not only me, there are a lot of other people that are doing woodwork and they're doing it well. We at Arc Furniture, we shall be ready to serve you. My team is there. We have manager Ronnie, he's the productions manager. When you come to Arc Furniture, you're going to find him there grinding these machines one by one, making sure items are coming out. And my whole team is there. We have manager Junior. He's the general manager running the whole place. Usually you find him up in front, and he's a finishing man. You always find him criticizing the surface of an item, critically checking it out, but he's there at the job. And we have a lot of other workers, Gideon, a lot of them. I'll mention names, I will not, but they're all there and they're dedicated to produce the quality that we have set for ourselves. And our pace is still on the run up. And my advice to everyone else that is doing production, their creativity, is that creativity alone is not enough until you monetize it, because at the end of the day, even if you have a passion for it, the money is what matters. You cannot push forward without money. You cannot develop it without the money. You cannot expand it and actually feel proud of it after 5 years if it has not given you anything. So go and see how you can monetize that creative work that you're doing. If you are an artist, if you are a woodworker, whatever you do that is part of creativity, do monetize it. Give it, go and do research, read the books, there's general knowledge that will apply in your business, and then you can consult. I mean, to those of other people that have seen enough of woodwork and of those professions that you're working in, are always free to share. If anyone is gluttonous with their knowledge and they don't share it, then they're not the right person for the job. These are people who know their crafts are always willing, because they know they're also growing. You can never outgrow them. They didn't stop. Yeah. So go and ask that person, come to Arc Furniture, to Oracle Furniture, we are there. I'll take you through my business because I don't care. I am running on a high speed up. You will never catch me. Or if you try, I'll love the competition.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. Creative Industry has come to the end of the show. We want to say thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me. We're looking forward to, bring you another great show next week, same time, same place, right here on House of Talent Television. It's a wrap from us here and from us and the crew, all behind the camera, and the guys who make everything look beautiful, the guys who bring you the beautiful pictures and make sure that this production reaches you. We want to say a shout out to all of you guys. And until then, Creative Industry has come to an end. Stay blessed and stay creating. Tell a neighbor and share it far and wide. Eddie Killer, David Anderson Onyango, signing out.
I want you to start by telling us how did you think about starting Marketing Africa? What was the inspiration behind it? And what is Marketing Africa all about as a company?
When I was at the university, we had a publication. It was called the Marketing Review. And we were able to publish that magazine and get 18 full-page adverts at that time, which was a first. I've never seen it up to today.
COVID-19 has tested our hope and faith as individuals, families, and the country at large. Besides destroying many aspects of our lives, the novel coronavirus has also affected our human rights in many ways. You and the Law, the COVID edition, is a 30-minute weekly television program that focuses on the impact of COVID-19 on human rights in Uganda. The program engages experts to explain the importance of rights-based approaches to the success of any public health response to ensure the respect, protection, and fulfillment of human rights amidst the challenges presented by COVID-19. You and the Law, the television program, brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda, taking the law to the last mile in proud association with I4C Africa Hub and House of Talent Television.
We need everyone in the society to stand up, like to really get together and form a relationship. Doesn't matter the political party or whatever. We need to, religion, we need to first put away differences and come together and say we need to fight. We can't even fight COVID because we don't know much about it. But how do we protect people? Yes, they're saying immunization, but the children can't be immunized. And I was looking at children living with HIV, AIDS. During that lockdown, how were they getting their medication? It was hard. Then there were those children with cancer who were told to go back home. And then it is later that they started trying to get doctors on motorbikes to go and deliver the medication. But see, when there's a break in their medication, it brings more it brings more issues. And no one talked about the children who died during that time because of medication, not having medication in time and what, or who have fallen back in their things. So we need to learn to have a standby. We have to have community, maybe say there are paralegal, paramedics in the communities, and these paramedics should reach out to it should be in every parish, every village, we should have paramedics.
Hello, welcome to yet another episode of You and the Law, the COVID edition, here on House of Talent Television. This show is proudly brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda in partnership with I4C Africa Hub. You and the Law is simply what it states. You and the Law, we explain the relationship between human beings, between us people, and the law, because the law guides every aspect of our lives. This particular edition of You and the Law is dedicated to COVID-19. How has COVID-19 affected our human rights? Over the last episodes, we've tackled different human rights that have been affected by the pandemic. Today, we look at children. How has COVID-19 affected children's rights in Uganda? What are the issues that are emerging because of COVID-19 as far as children are concerned? What do we need to do to protect children in these hard times? With me in studio is Ms. Sarah Awelo, the lead counsel for GBV at the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. Sarah, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How have you been?
Oh, I'm okay. I've been fine. Well, COVID gave me some rest.
Yes. And in terms of work, because I know a lot of things have changed over the years, how has it affected your work life?
A lot of things have changed, yes. Sometimes we work from home, but being legal, it is hard to fully work from home. So you have court, home, in between. Sometimes you're torn. Is it today we are going to have court online, or we are going to stay from? Then it's hard to meet your clients. You just see them via the video link.
Yeah, it's a crazy time, but hopefully things will normalize. You come from UCLF, the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. Perhaps for a person who could be hearing this for the first time, you could give us a little bit of more information about the organization that you work for.
Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity is a membership organization. It's a legal aid. We provide legal aid to people who could not afford money or any amount of money, especially family, land matters. We also provide legal aid to the children, juvenile justice. So we have all that. Then we also handle GBV, gender-based violence programs, mainly in Kayunga. Yes, so we are those places.
So your services are completely free?
Our services are free.
Oh, interesting. And in terms of the name of the organization, the Christian aspect of it, and somebody could be tempted to ask, are your services restricted to only a particular group of people who subscribe to a particular faith, or it's open?
No. We handle everyone. Everyone. You see, everyone is a child of God. So we handle everyone as a child of God. Yes. We believe we are missionaries, and we are doing that by working, helping people in the legal in a legal way. So for us, maybe we may not stand on the street every day to preach, but we shall go to court, we shall fight for people's rights every day.
Okay.
Yes, that's how we shall preach.
I think it's an interesting approach, to missionary work by providing an actual service. And so today we're talking about COVID-19 and how it has affected our lives, and we're specifically having conversation around children. But perhaps before we delve into much detail, we could try to understand from you, before we even talk about the law, what is this whole idea of children's rights? So why do they matter? Why should somebody lose sleep over rights of children? What's the value of children's rights?
You see, children are, all of us were once children, and children, let's say it's the future of the nation. Okay, that's how it is sung. Children are the future of the nation. But how do we build a nation with broken children? So we need to protect these children so that we have a strong nation, we have a better future. I think that's why the rights of children have to be protected, so that we may have a better nation in future. Yes.
So children represent, a
nation.
The nation, and from a futuristic, I think it's a very interesting angle to this. But then now we move to talk about children's rights. As you've explained, children are the future of the nation and we should protect them. Is there a law that provides for that, or is that just your wishful thinking? Where do we derive the mandate to talk about children's rights?
The rights of children are protected by our constitution, the 1995 constitution as amended. Then we have the Children's Act. Then there are those conventions, the international conventions that Uganda decided to sign and be a part of. We have the 1985 UN Convention on the Rights of Children, and then the 1990 African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. So all that are some of the laws that protect children that Uganda ascribes to.
Okay, but in terms of then what exactly do they actually provide for? Like, what are those rights? If you do tell a random person that these are children's rights, what could be examples that we can share?
Well, they have a right to live with their parents or guardians. They have a right to education, a right to practice the religion they know, a right to, yes.
Very important for UCLF.
Yes, very important. A right to shelter, to medication. They have their rights. Yes.
So, but then if you move further and talk about those rights, whose duty is it to provide them? Because, there's been a lot of conversations around, in Africa, parenting children is a societal issue. But then you're discussing it from a human rights angle. So who bears the obligation to ensure that actually these rights are protected?
See, in Africa, the children are for the whole village. But okay, currently it's changing. Those days it used to be, I think, the days of our parents. But currently, who protects the children apart from their parents? You know, sometimes even the relatives do not protect them. So we have also the welfare officer, like the government decides to put in place institutions to protect them. For example, the Secretary for Children's Welfare in the local council. We have also the Family and Children's Court, where we could run to when their rights are being infringed on. We have the probation and social welfare officers. We have the district probation and social welfare officers. We have all those people to protect. But really the main, it is each of us, all of us as individuals, even the children themselves, they should protect their own rights.
Some people argue that children's rights fall under the broad category of human rights. I mean, there's sort of a subcategory of human rights, and there's this talk about you need to respect, protect, fulfill this right, which is put on the state. I don't know from your experience working this, what does actually respecting children's rights mean from the angle of the government?
Let's say the right to live with your parents. What should the government do to help children to make sure that that right is respected? Parents, one thing government should also do is help the parents have income or have something to provide for these children. Because when they start saying then we have a right to be given proper food, right to clothing, we have medical care and a home, if the parents are sleeping on the streets, then how will these rights be given to them? So I think with the government, it has to start with the parents. The parents should be given the ability or should
conducive environment.
A conducive environment to provide and protect the rights of these children.
Okay. And then in terms of the fulfilling this right, some people argue that it's important to have laws, policies in place. I wonder how Uganda is doing in that context, from your experience as a child rights advocate.
Well, we have very good laws. Yes.
On children issues?
On children's issues.
Okay.
We have
Run us through them.
We have the Constitution, the Children's Act. They give us very good laws toward the rights of children, the obligation, how to ensure that they have proper health, education, mental, physical, and moral development. And our issue is implementing those laws. And then also, do people know those laws? Right now we are talking about the laws, and we are here in Kampala with an upper class talking about it. But what about that mother in Kayunga who has all those issues? She has no idea, maybe even that the children have rights. For her work is to see them live every day. I got a saying in my work with the people in Kayunga when they said that children grow anyway. Somehow they will grow.
They will
grow.
Yes.
It's hard. Even our crops don't just grow. You have to weed.
Yes.
But you see, to them that's their belief. Somehow they will grow.
You've mentioned about the Constitution and talked about the Children's Act. Perhaps we could spend a bit of more time understanding the Children's Act and sort of its provisions on children's rights. What are the salient features that we can, talk about if you're to, tell a random person about this children's rights from the angle of that act?
From the angle of the act, a child is a person below the age of 18.
Oh, by the way, we forgot even to understand that, yes.
A child is a person from that age of 18. And then children's rights mean the basic needs that a child must have to ensure his or her proper growth and development. I look at it, proper growth and development.
Proper growth and development.
It's relative. That's relative. Because And a child will say, for me to have proper growth and development, I need Cerelac. The other one will get up and go to a mango tree and look for those small mangoes that are even not yet. So it's relative. And it's even under the Act, we say, they have their obligations. So sometimes we go so much on their rights.
Yes.
But see, they also have an obligation. But like they said, obligation for them to go to school and be obedient while at school. But a child to go to school on an empty stomach, unless he or she knows that at school they're going to give me something to eat.
Some porridge.
Some porridge. So that one, it will be easy for the child to fulfill that obligation. But just sending the child to school, and the child knows there's nothing for me to eat, he will pass by the gardens, people's homes, look for mangoes. By the time they reach school, it is midday.
Yes.
And then they get back.
Yeah.
So we have under the Children's Act those very good laws, the rights, the obligations, but also we have the bats. But
yes, there's always a bat somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's then switch gears, because we're discussing children's rights, but specifically in the context of COVID-19, which came and really, forced our government to do so many things, and most of them really had a bearing on children's rights. So I'll sort of start from that point. When you assess, when COVID-19 came, what are those actions that government of Uganda took generally, and then perhaps later we can discuss how those affected children's rights?
When COVID-19 came, I know the government was trying to protect its citizens, that's its work. Then it closed schools, it closed places of worship, and then there were no places of leisure, were also closed. And it brought all that. It was good. They wanted to protect everyone from COVID-19, prevent death, that's their work. And it has gone on. It's now 2 years. It's 2 years. For a child who has always gone to church every Sunday or been taken to the mosque.
I can notice your interest in church.
See, and then all of a sudden there's no going anywhere. They are stuck on the, let's say, the 4 walls inside the gate or within the compound. And then they cannot go swimming, they cannot go moving around with their friends, roaming. Okay, let me put in the village.
Playing even.
Playing.
Yeah.
You see, going to the other neighbor. This where it has brought a lot of
problems.
Mental.
Yeah. Let's go for a quick break at this point, and perhaps when we return back, we'll have a deeper conversation around the effects of COVID-19 on children. You're watching You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. Today, we're discussing COVID-19 and how it has affected children's life. Right. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back.
When it comes to the law, we basically live the law, you know, on a day-to-day basis, you know. Whether it is in your bedroom, there is a law that governs it. If you're married, for example, even if you're single, there could be something touching on the law, because you might be in your bedroom with an underage girl, or you might be with another person's wife, you know. All the things are the law, you know.
If you're a human being, you have rights. Those rights are called human rights. They are examples: the right to health, the right to freedom from torture, that underscores human dignity, freedom from slavery. You're not supposed to be someone's slave.
If you look at our penal code, it sets out another marriage laws. It sets out the persons who can marry and those who cannot marry, right? For example, you can't marry your close relatives. You know, if you did, you'd be committing a crime.
The state is not supposed to tell you who to worship, how many times a day. No, you have a right to work. A right to work. You have freedom of association.
Cohabitation for whatever period of time does not make you husband and wife, right? And that is why we emphasize to people that when the relationship is still hot, you know, you must ensure that you do what? Marry.
Yes.
You know?
For human rights to be respected, protected, and fulfilled, relevant government programs must actually work. Medicine should reach hospitals, oxygen should be there, health workers should have gloves, teachers should be present. Now they are mostly absent, and they have left the profession, a good number of them. They are into trading. So things must work. If things don't work, human rights are not respected, are not protected, and are not fulfilled.
COVID-19 has tested our hope and faith as individuals, families, and the country at large. Besides destroying many aspects of our lives, the novel coronavirus has also affected our human rights in many ways. You and the Law, the COVID edition, is a 30-minute weekly television program that focuses on the impact of COVID-19 on human rights in Uganda. The program engages experts to explain the importance of rights-based approaches to the success of any public health response to ensure the respect, protection, and fulfillment of human rights amidst the challenges presented by COVID-19. You and the Law, the television program, brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda, taking the law to the last mile in proud association with I4C Africa Hub and House of Talent Television, coming soon.
Welcome back. This is You and the Law, the COVID edition, here on House of Talent Television. My name is Jonathan Ochom, your host. Today we're discussing COVID-19 and how it has affected children's rights. And with me in studio is Ms. Sarah Awelo from the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity, popularly known as UCLF, at least among the lawyers. So Sarah, welcome from the break.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we went for the break, we started the conversation around COVID-19, the actions that government took to curb down the virus, and how it has affected children. You started from the angle of education. I'm actually started from church, understandably, because you're from UCLF. So we could carry on the conversation around some of the other aspects that COVID-19 affected for children's rights.
Yes, for example, now when the schools were closed, and now the ones who are supposed to be in P1 have been in P1 for the last 2 years. There are children who have never stepped classes since the government closed. And you see, there's going to be a big difference between the children, like children from that village and this one's from the towns. Yes.
City.
So there's going to be, I'll say, an imbalance. There will be something wrong with that generation. Okay, I don't know how to put it, but I think it will be like that because these ones, there are those who are studying, there are those who are not. There are those who can afford the private teachers at home, and there are these children who have been seated at home. I remember one time I was in Dokolo, and we asked the children, they came and told me, no, we can't understand English. We left those ones 2 years ago. And I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, can I give you a pen and you write your name? That, me, I forgot. You see? So there is that. And then when we come to the girl child, there are those ones who have gotten pregnant. Hey, it's a big number. And I just thought, if 100 girls get pregnant, those are 100 people supposed to, 100 men or boys who are supposed to be in jail.
I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Yes. See, every time I see it in my mind, I'm like, I just hope I get like 100 of those ones. They should be in jail. That's how it should be. Then there are those early marriages. Parents who have married off their daughters. So those ones are supposed to be in jail somewhere. So they're supposed to be in jail. Why? Because they are not protecting these children.
They're actually committing criminal.
Yes, they're committing more offenses. So for me, as I see numbers of girls getting pregnant, I keep wondering, are also that same number or more in jail because of the crimes I've committed, you know, and then there are those ones of child-to-child sex, and in my head I'm like, have they cancelled those ones? But you see, in Uganda we don't have those counselling services. The probation officers are overwhelmed also. But again, who cares to go to the probation officer to report or ask their child, like, oh, come and counsel, my child has been going through this. I'll give an example. In Kayunga, one of the boys was arrested for defilement. So I meet with this girl. In Kayunga, we handled, our work is mainly like with the state, with the state attorney. So I meet with this girl. I ask her, we talk. And she was like, no, I just want him to be cautioned. I'm like, are you sure? Wow. You want him to be cautioned, and then you want to go back to the same group. It needs a mindset. It took me, took us like 3 hours talking to her. And then I told her, so what do you want to become? She actually wanted to become a teacher. I'm like, so now when you get pregnant, how will you become a teacher? Because you'll have a child to look after. But for him, he will have to continue with his education and what. After some thinking, he was like, I need him to be kept away for some time so that my mind can rest. So we need a total, okay, what COVID has brought has destroyed the mindset of children. That's what I believe. And we need a change in the mindset of the children, that it doesn't matter when schools are closed, you can still get a book and read. But where will they get the books also from? The libraries, are closed. Public libraries, do we even have them deep in the villages?
I mean, even in Kampala.
Even in Kampala, it's countable. And who goes there? Remember, there is no when they closed completely and not moving everywhere, who will walk to come and get a book for the child to read? So we've had, COVID has brought a lot of negativity, I would put it, in the lives of the children. There would have been some positive things if the parents were sensitized early enough on how to raise children even when schools are closed.
Sarah, you raised very, very touching, stories, which I know you've picked in the course of your work, and it's really chilling if you ask me. But I want us to have a conversation around the measures that government put in place to curb down COVID-19, and I'll ask you, how child-friendly were those measures? What's your assessment of, so for example, you're hearing of distribution of food, you're hearing about online learning, you're hearing about all these things that they put in place. How child-friendly, or what's your evaluation of those interventions? Let's start with the positives. What do you think worked? Yes, what do you think worked?
There's a positive, like thank you for those innovations like online schooling, but seriously, if you look at somebody in Dokolo, that's my village, so I can talk, and I know I have. They don't even have radios.
The government, I think, tried to give some radios. I don't know if they reached
never
Dokolo.
reached.
Oh, okay.
I heard they were going to give radios. Where it died from, I don't know. But it didn't reach. Then they started saying they would distribute the books, like some books to schools and what. But did those books reach to the village? You see, there is the village school. Then there is the village school. Even in the village, there's a town and there's a
then
village.
There's a real village.
Yes. So there's that village school. Did it reach? Do those who don't even have clothes to put on, can they afford a smartphone? Can they sit and listen to UBC? Where will they get it from? I think it would have been, government would have just built a community place where children but that also would have stopped the COVID.
Exactly, social distancing
social
issues.
distance.
Yeah.
So if you look at food, food was distributed, they gave milk.
Okay.
But you see, that food will not take the children for long. Let's say you distribute that food to a mother of 8 or 5.
Even just 3.
Or even just 3. Would that food take them? It wouldn't take them for long. I think, see, COVID surprised everyone. And I know the government was trying its best to provide for its citizens, and it tried. But maybe we need proper structures in the communities. We need the LCs to give us proper structures in the communities to say these are the number of children we have in the community, but these are their age brackets. So that even when the government is providing something, food, it's providing things, like during the COVID times, it knows that in this particular community, we have this number of children, these are their age brackets. So let's say between 15 and 17 or 18, these ones, let's provide them with, apart from sugar and what, I think they need pads, or they need this. So the government tried, but it had some up and down.
You talked about, food, milk. I was about to ask you if some of your relatives in Dokolo benefited from it, but perhaps that can be a conversation for another day. But Sarah, now you work a lot around juvenile justice, and I thought we could sort of pick your insights as well from the angle of juvenile justice. How did COVID affect that area? Because I know even before that, children already were having conflicts with the law. And like many people argue that COVID just came and worsened the situation. I don't know what your views you have around that area.
The juvenile justice. And children, maybe most children ended up going on the streets during this COVID time. They left school, they started looking for money. And I don't know how many will go back to school. We have parents bringing children to the organization for us to counsel them, because when they tried secondary, opened a bit the other time, the children didn't want to go back because now they were making money.
Oh, on the streets. On
the streets. Some of them, the parents took them to the garages to learn something, so they felt they have enough skills.
They've arrived.
They have arrived. They don't want to go back. And you find the parents crying, saying, let them go back for some medication and what. So there is that loophole going on that we need more guidance for the children at this particular time in this COVID-19. We are still in COVID-19 times. Yes, we are still in. And then what I've seen, there was a lot of violence in the homes and abuse in the homes. First of all, there was violence between the parents, but their escape route was school. When school got closed, they got entangled in the violence with the parents, and then they became the escape route.
Oh, for venting their anger.
For venting the anger. So they got all the pressure was thrown on them. They were beaten. When the mother again will blame, it's because of you, that's why I'm staying. The child goes, no. Then the child is left. I remember one, Enoch, I won't give the other name, decided to even run away from home.
A child running away from home?
Yes, and he's 10.
Oh dear.
And then we had to counsel him. By the time we got him using police, he said for him he's tired of the work at home. It's routine. And he wants to also start going and playing with his peers. But the parents are saying, no, the peers go drinking and what, we don't want him to be a part of that.
Which is a fair point.
Which is a fair point. But I think for him, it's like, I'm tired of being in this thing. But
four corners.
Four corners. And he comes from his parents drink also a lot and what, so they leave him with all the work. So he said for him, he's tired of the work, he rather goes on the street and vent for himself.
Sarah, some of the stories you're sharing are, quite chilling. Viewers, you're watching You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. Today we are discussing children's rights. How has COVID-19 affected the rights of children in Uganda? What do we need to do? How do we protect children further during these extraordinary times? Let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll give a sneak peek into the future. How do we get out of the mess that we find ourselves now from the angle of protecting children? Let's go for a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television with me, Jonathan Ochom. Today we are discussing children's rights and how they've been affected by COVID-19. And with me in studio is Sarah Awelo, lead counsel for the GBV program at the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. Sarah, welcome from the break.
Thank you.
So we need to sort of look into the future. You've clearly given us really chilling accounts of the different situations children find themselves in because of COVID-19 and the different initiatives that, that government has tried to do, as well as parents. Now we need to think about anything that could happen 5 or 10 years from now, because we're not sure when the virus will come to an end. We don't know if anything else could emerge in future. So as a country, that calls for preparation. So now I'll now ask you, looking at what the government of Uganda has done, what lessons do we learn from this intervention, from the angle of protecting children's rights? And perhaps later on we shall talk about recommendations. But what do you think we learn from our current intervention, our current experience trying to protect children amidst COVID-19?
What do we learn? We need everyone in the society to stand up, like to really get together and form a relationship. Doesn't matter the political party, whatever. We need to, religion, we need to first put away differences and come together and say we need to fight. We can't even fight COVID because we don't know much about it. But how do we protect people? Yes, they're saying immunization, but the children can't be immunized. And I was looking at children living with HIV, AIDS. During that lockdown, how were they getting their medication? It was hard. Then there were those children with cancer who were told to go back home. And then it is later that they started trying to get doctors on motorbikes to go and deliver the medication. But see, when there's a break in their medication, it brings more it brings more issues. And no one talked about the children who died during that time because of medication, not having medication in time and what, or who are fallen back in their things. So we need to learn to have a standby. We have to have community, maybe say they're paralegal, paramedics in the communities, and these paramedics should reach out to it should be in every parish, every village. We should have paramedics, so that if something happens like this in future, we have our paramedics already to reach out to children, children with disabilities, children living with HIV, AIDS, even the normal children when they fall sick. You see, moving you have to go and get permission first. But if we had paramedics in the villages, it would be so easy. We wouldn't have this fallback a lot. And then maybe we should, even the parents who are not dedicated, I know they can teach math somehow. They would teach in the local language. Math can be taught in the local language.
1 + 1.
With the stones and what. But maybe we should try and teachers and pay them more on hard to reach areas. They're saying paying the scientists, but also the art teachers. Because these art teachers are the ones going to teach English to the scientists.
And they need English to pass science.
They need English to pass science. So we need the art teachers also. But if we could pay them hard to reach area more money, just because they are in those communities, maybe build for them proper housing facilities, so that even when this happens, we have teachers who will go reach out to villages to see that the children are listening, or the children are studying at least twice a week. If a teacher appears before a child and they go through some of the it refreshes them and tells them, stay with this, next week I'll pass by. So we need that to keep people to reach out to stay in the communities.
What of in terms of juvenile justice, in terms of keeping children safe from the law, ensuring that their rights? You talk about violence at the family level, you talked about environment and kind of things. How do we, in future, what do we need to do to ensure that if we find ourselves in this situation, this is how we shall protect children against sexual assault, for example?
We need to empower our local community, our LCs. And also first we need to empower the children. Do they know what the bad touch is? We were just trying to teach them before they went to lockdown. Where do they go? Do they know where to go to? Most of them are threatened after defilement. They're told, don't speak, or else we'll kill you, we'll kill your family. Then some of them, like this one who said, I was told to go, and they told him, you stand outside, we are going to give you a TV. But these thieves were coming to rob the grandmother.
Oh dear.
But they told him, we shall give you a TV where you'll watch every day. You don't have to ask permission or what. So they entered in the house for him. He stood to see that no one comes in. And then in the process, they killed the grandmother. So it was during the burial that he kept saying, but this one was the last to, these people entered in the house. Then they said grandmother has died. So they're like, how did you know? So he gives the story. So he was arrested and told to go and tell this other people, take us to these people. So all the other co-accused were arrested. And maybe he was charged with murder.
Oh, the child?
Yes. Because he was in the whole chain. But he couldn't understand it, you know. And he kept saying, most of them will call you auntie. Auntie, I didn't do it. I'm like, yes, you didn't do it. I didn't kill. I'm like, yes, you did. It is those ones, they entered. But if we could empower our children and tell them that they have this obligation. Yes, they have the rights, but they have the obligation. They have obligations to respect the society, respect their children. They have obligation to do work at home. They have, we have something we expect from them, even if we are giving them rights. So that they grow up knowing it's not about watching TV throughout. You have to also do something. Maybe that would help them. Not so that people do not sweet talk them. How are we talking to our daughters? How are we training our daughters? Will somebody give them, say, if you come and I do this to you, or I touch your breast, I will give you 500. And it's a coin, a 500 coin. And most of them can say, and he gave me a 500 coin to keep quiet. Or after being defied, it comes and say, they gave me 1,000. Is there a way we can teach them about value? How do they value themselves from young? You see, a child gets to understand from the time they are born. That's why they cry when they are hurt. So we need to teach value to the children from when they are young. But value is got if the person teaching them also has value. So do the parents have value to pass over? So should the government also? So we need to empower the local council to empower the community. We need to empower the religious leaders to empower the community. We also need to empower the the witch doctors, the herbalists, and teach them, because you said they are the ones who will when somebody is arrested, they will say, the witch doctor told me if I sleep with a girl,
my problems will be solved. So if we teach these witch doctors that the law says if they ever get you, if you're arrested, like even for sacrifice, child sacrifice, you will be penalized, you'll be held for murder, you'll go in for life. This is what the law says. There's a way they will trick. They will start telling the person, your problems will be done, let me put something on your hands, and then you go and work. The person just playing with your mind.
They just play with their minds and go. I had an opportunity of talking to a witch doctor.
Okay. You're seeking their services.
We were sensitizing.
Oh, okay.
And you see in Kayunga, they are so proud to come and say how they are witch doctors because they are really respected in the community.
Yes.
So I said, okay. So we kept talking, and then I told him, but now instead of giving these women who come and complain about their husbands, or the husbands come and complain about their women. So he says for him what he does, he gets, it's a herb, it's actually a herb, and then he tells them when he starts quarreling, you put it in your mouth and bite it. So the lady keeps biting, so she doesn't reply to the quarrels. Then the man keeps quiet, and then she will start saying, oh, my husband actually changed, he stopped quarreling. But she doesn't know, it's because she did not answer back, so there was no one to...
There was no need for a fight.
There was no need for a fight, you know. So if we need also to empower them, the herbalist, you see how Mama Fina tries to help out, but if we empower her with the law, how much
information
more?
On the law.
Yeah, information on the law. Then she empowers her people. You know, so many people follow her. So we need to get those people who are the community like the community look up to.
Yeah. You mentioned about the child, being charged with a criminal offense, and I thought perhaps we'll take advantage of your presence to talk about criminal responsibility for children, because there's always emphasis on rights, like you correctly said, but also for children to know that you have responsibilities even during COVID-19. You could just run up through about, what's the law on, criminal
on children's
responsibility. At 5 years, do they become...
No. When when it's 12 years and when they're less than 12 years, from 11, they are not criminally liable.
Okay.
But
so you can do anything in that age.
But you see there, we can get the LC to beat. I don't believe you just do something as a child and you walk away with it.
Yes.
No. But from 12, they are criminally liable, and they can be arrested. They're taken to the remand homes, and we have remand homes all over Uganda.
Yes.
And the main one means Camp Pinipisa. That's how they pronounce it. It's long.
Yeah. Is that on the Masaka Highway?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are taken there, and they are taken. They are taught. They are taught on vocational training, making wood, tools, but they're trained from that side. Now they're taken to the remand home at Naguru, where they're also taught, but they are liable, but they also need to know that. So if we also teach them that from 12 years, we shall really jail you in the children's jail. If you misbehave, then there is also, I think they will also change their behavior. But also these ones below 12, like from 11 downwards. May I believe a child will understand. We will not be like whites all the time and say you're going to be taken to a punishment corner and stand there. No, I think a few 2 sticks will get the person. Even the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. So we will not allow sparing the road, because as I started, we want our children are the future of our nation. So we are not going to let them get away with anything, but we shall stick, as the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yes.
No, we are going to see that they are all brought up in a godly manner, whereby in the future we shall have less corruption.
They're indeed the future.
Yes. If they have less corruption, they know the law. Yes.
Sarah, as we come to the end of this show, just as sort of your final concluding remarks, and how do we then get out of this mess as a country in 30 seconds?
How do we get out of this
Protect
mess?
children, yes.
And protect children. We all have to come together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about your religion, your party, your what. Come together. Let us see in each of our neighborhood who is a teacher in the neighborhood. We need to be the eyes of the parents in the neighborhood. Let us go back to saying it takes a village to raise a child.
Okay.
Don't let somebody's child be doing something wrong and you just say that's not my child. Take responsibility.
Okay, Sarah makes a very compelling point. We should take responsibility. We have to protect children during COVID-19 by following the law, empowering people with information so that they know that an extraordinary time like the pandemic is not an opportunity for you to exploit children, but rather to actually protect their rights. With that, we've come to the end of today's edition of You and the Law. I've been your host, Jonathan Ochom. Next week, we'll have another conversation on yet another human right which has been affected by the virus. Until then, bye.
Coffee industry is very wide, it's very big, it's very full of opportunities. Don't sit there and say, I have nothing to do. You can join the industry. You can get whatever you want. If you give it time, invest in it. By giving it time, don't look for money, don't look for big salary at first. First learn. After learning, you'll get how much amount you need. Yeah. In coffee industry, there's no like, barista should get this amount of money. No, it depends on your knowledge. Yeah. What you know is what you get. You cannot be like having junior experience and asking for experienced one. No. You can join now. Good thing, everything is simple. Yeah. It's easy. Don't sit there and say, oh no, I'm scared to join this. No, it's very simple. You can make. Yeah, it's very simple. It's not so difficult. Simple, very simple, very enjoyable. You can do everything when you're enjoying. You can do your coffee, you can serve your customers. Coffee create friendship. Coffee gives you a job. Even if you are not working in a cafe, maybe you can go in different field, but still in coffee industry. Yes.
Let's put up the camera.
My first advice to my students, the people I train, the people I talk to, is that at every stage of coffee, from the farm to the cup, you can gain something. So I first get to know, like, you as you, what's your passion? Is it going to the garden? Is it going to the factory? Or is it like being a supplier? First of all, we are working for people. We're working for people, but our dreams are being self-employed. Yes. So in coffee, if I'm mentoring you, if like I want you to get something good, improve on your life, me, I can pass through roasting. I can teach you how, like I can teach you or train you the part of coffee roasting. So within that process, you like will be making some money somewhere. And where does that money comes from? You buy your coffee, you roast, you pack it, and you sell. Of course, there are many cafes that are opening. We have our organizations here in Uganda, like they are boosting up the consumption. We have business people that are starting up cafes, but there is that gap. There's that gap of supply. There's that gap of supply. Big companies are exporting, but we can also be the big company at our youth stage. We roast our coffee, we pack it, and we sell it. Let me take another example. You can be a good person in computer graphic designing. So when I introduce that idea, you can plan the way of branding that coffee, how we can market that coffee. Yes. So we can, like, at the end of the process, me and you will be having something to put in the pocket, or to save on the account.
It's another good day to have coffee. Welcome to House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng. This is the Coffee Break Show. Remember, you can catch us live. The show is live right now on our YouTube channel at House of Talent Uganda live stream, or you can head down to our Twitter handle, that is at HTV1. Or if you're on Facebook, you can also catch us at House of Talent Uganda. That is on Facebook. Make sure to share the show far and wide. Send us your comments. If you have questions, if you have any remarks, let us know. On today's show, the Messiah is back. And I'm not talking about the second coming of Jesus. I'm talking about the coming back of the Coffee Messiah, the original guy on the show. He's back with us here today. And for those who are wondering who the Messiah is, none other than Mr. Amon Rukisa.
Hey man.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, man.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we've been in touch.
Yeah, we've been in touch.
Yeah.
I think you are out, getting converts and, getting more disciples to come to your side.
It's a good thing that we've gotten many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can be as seen on the show here. We have very many faces that have come up, very many new people that are in coffee. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Good thing that at least now the visibility of coffee and people are getting to know coffee, So it's a good thing that we've seen very many new faces come through.
Yeah.
And it's very, very massive when you look out there. People are joining the coffee industry.
Yeah.
Like someone tells you, okay, I watched this show, I heard about this, I read about this in coffee, and I decided to come and study coffee.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
So we're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're doing a good job. Well done, the coffee break.
Well, apart from that, what have you been up to? I've seen on your social media, you're still doing your GNN. For those of you who don't know, Amon has his page, Gather Now Network on YouTube. You should head over there. Some very good content. You should actually follow him and, let another person know, support Amon. He has good stuff. Just go ahead and check it out. I also saw some of your posts, some coffee stuff. I think you're running some trainings and all this. What have you been up to basically?
Well, it's been a roller coaster because, as Uganda went on, yes, we haven't fully opened up, but people have started moving.
Yeah.
So back to our businesses, like the coffee shops, different businesses of coffee, people are starting to crowd it.
Yeah.
The queue is so much. So we tend to get together as different parties in the coffee industry, so that we can bring back the egg game in the coffee industry, because how you sit down and relax because, okay, you've not been busy, people you've been receiving 10 a day, 20 a day, but now people have started coming back. It means you have to be prepared for Jan come 2022 when the guy said it's going to open up. So we've been in preparations. We've been in preparations to open up. So doing trainings, doing coffee awarenesses, putting everything in touch, it's supposed to be here, let it be here.
Yeah.
Give it a direction, the right direction where it's supposed to be, we give it that direction. So that's what we've been up to. But besides that, normal stuff, chilling, work, something like that.
Well, it's good that you guys have really been running all these programs, and that is what we want to focus, our show on today. But before we get there, we're still getting to know. You've been doing awareness. The economy is getting back to the place where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to open up January, hopefully. But with this new variant coming in, you also really can't be sure, if the economy will really open. So, with the people coming back, in the event that we don't open in January, okay, and maybe we go through another lockdown, okay, are there some strategies that you guys have come up with to make sure that, you don't go back into a pitfall like it was before?
Man, it's going to be hard not to open up. It's really, really going to be. A country sitting or being locked for 2 years, what it means to the economy. So that's why even the president of Uganda, when he was addressing a couple of weeks ago, he said, come what may, we're opening up in Jan. But in an event where something goes wrong and we don't open up, before, how companies have coped up. Through the use of food companies, through the use of the internet, to distribute their products, besides the beverages, but the products. Coffee has different products, as you know. But companies have adopted to that. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and I told him, there are various guys who are not going to let spaces come next year. They won't rent. Because they will realize, okay, I've been paying over 10 million a month for this space, but I've been making over maybe 15 million or 20 million. And now you're telling me to rent a space whereby in a lockdown, at least I've achieved my 11 million. Okay, so they will weigh the two options and they're like, okay, why not? So it's going to be hard to see people grumble for spaces, grumble for what. So they will adopt to this internet because they have really mastered how it's being done. Actually, when you asked me at the beginning what we've been up to, we've been trying to see what new options can we have to market our different products of coffee? How can we use the internet very well? Because you can never understand the internet like fully. Even those who are like leads on the internet, they still go back and research, you know. So we've also been trying to do different researches, you know, getting curious about how best can we do this, how best can we market our coffee products, how best can we reach different audiences in the coffee industry. That's why, okay, a company I work with is Enduro Coffee. That's why you're seeing, besides the lockdown, Enduro Coffee is opening up various branches. You find yourself in Kapchora, there is a branch. In Buama, there is a branch. Around town, there are like over 3 branches that have opened up, and more are coming. So that's the kind of work that we've been like trying to do. So if we don't open up, it will be easy for us, because at least now we are next to our customers. You know, if you're around, maybe let me say Naria, if I have a branch around maybe Chiwatle, I can easily walk over there. Okay, my bike, you know. So instead of like coming from Cementi, going to Naria, that distance, even the coffee will get cold, or whatever product I'm transferring will get cold or bad, because coffee is a perishable good, you know that. So it's easy for us like to connect. The distance is not long. That's one way. But also, like I said, the use of the internet. The use of the internet. So we need to adopt to that, because people have realized that the internet can do more good than harm.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was seeing in town, and just even here, just outside the studio, the juicer guys have decided to make, you know, mobile shops for coffee. Okay, so does Enduro have any plans of the same, or you guys are just sticking to, you know, permanent structures?
Yes. Okay, now the spokesperson of Enduro right here. Yes, Enduro, you know, Enduro's vision is ensure vulnerability globally through coffee and other related products by partnering with others. So Enduro Coffee, it doesn't have those stores or those juicers or those small bikes, no. But for it, what it did was, okay, how can we get through the community deep down by not going there as a bicycle or with a car or with a van, but we need to be in the community with them, physically with them, live with them, give them jobs, you know. So besides the Enduro Coffee Limited company, what they decided to do was, okay, I think I used the wrong word over there. What we decided to do, what we decided to do was, let's go to the community, and we started up the project called the Enduro Community Project. So this Enduro Community Project is all about like going down to the people, giving them jobs, but they have stalls in these communities. You'll find a stall in Kamocha, you find a stall in downtown Chisenyi, you'll find a stall in like those small communities. This is because not everyone can afford a cup of coffee at 10K or 12K. But this cup of coffee by Enduro Coffee Community Project, you find a cup of coffee at 1,500, but a good cup of coffee, you know, like the one they will take at 10K. So this is one of reaching out compared to, okay, I'm not trying to diminish this whole van projects. They are good because they improve or they increase coffee consumption in Uganda. But for us, we decided to do it that way because coffee is people. Instead of coming and go away, okay, I'm going to come and park here today, and you find me here with my van with an espresso machine doing coffee, and then tomorrow you find me in Chireka. No, first we're like, let's stay here, we live in people, given the fact that coffee is people.
Interesting. It's actually good to see that we're using coffee to, you know, reach some people in the community. Do you have any examples or any stories of, you know, certain lives that have been changed? I know that you're always up and down in Kapchora here and there. So I know that you must have met some people or heard of some stories where people's lives were changed because of the work you guys are doing. If you could just share that with us.
You know, I do trainings of different baristas that we get into. I don't do like outside trainings, but I do trainings of in-house. So when I'm called certain times to go and train or orient these people, the smile I see on their faces, the reactions I see when I'm interacting with them is so touching. Because they realize that, okay, we've been knowing coffee, but we didn't know that coffee is as good as this when we've added value on it. You know, there is a lady called Mariam. She's in these NGO community projects. Mariam, she lives in she left Mubende here to Kampala, but she didn't have a job. Okay, she got, you know how you can leave the village and you come to town, like you stay with your auntie or uncle, and you're expecting your uncle or aunt to get you a job, and things don't work out.
Kampala refuses.
Kampala refuses, you know. So Mariam stays there, not until she heard about this project. And because there's a team that runs it. So she registers for this project, and Enduro community calls her. So when she reaches, they tell her what she's going to do and everything. They give her the orientation. Of course, now that's me giving her the orientation. She's like, Amon, did you know that we grow coffee at home, but I didn't know all these things? So you see how